Okay, I guess we're good to start. Let's just check that I'm sounding okay. Okay, I think you can't hear me. Um, okay. Maybe I think you can't hear me. Um, okay, it's done. Maybe I think you can't hear me. Okay, I'm gonna trust that I'm streaming right now and let me start. Okay, um, first of all, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Um, I'm Samuel, right? This is our first time, so might say or might not say some things that I should say. Um, well, for starters, welcome. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be developing something. What are we going to be developing? Okay, so we're going to be developing Mina. Now, let me introduce you to Mina, to the idea of Mina, because this whole thing is like a recording or like a live stream of the full process of the development of Mina. Now, what is Mina? Mina is an AI assistant. Now, the best way I could describe the idea of Mina or what the problem is going to solve is uh, Jarvis. Now, I'm hoping most of my audience, if I have audience yet, uh, has seen like the Iron Man movies. Now, if you've paid enough attention, you've seen that Iron Man talks to like an assistant, like an AI assistant, or like an intelligent assistant called Jarvis. He tells like Jarvis, "Hello, Jarvis, can you turn on the lights or open my car or my door or whatever?" And Jarvis, the AI assistant, can control like hardware devices and computer devices around like Iron Man's like home, right? Or like laboratory. So the idea is to build something like that. Now, it sounds like science fiction because again, uh, the way that Jarvis is shown in the Iron Man movies is quite, let's say, exaggerated. Because Jarvis can do lots of things and the Iron Man suit and etc. etc. But the idea is to build something like that, Jarvis. So the idea is that Jarvis, you can compare the existing assistants to this idea of Mina. For example, you could compare it with Google, like the Google Assistant, or Apple's Assistant Siri, I think it's called. Um, when you use these assistants, they can be activated via voice, and you can, for example, you can instruct them to take certain actions or to make a Google search or a Bing search or whatever, and they will be able to provide with some information, right? But the idea of Mina is to make it like the idea of Mina is to make it as similar as possible to Jarvis, like the Jarvis from Iron Man. Now, uh, I haven't explained much technical details here, or I haven't shown you like a more visual, let's say, understanding or visual design of Mina, because there isn't yet, at least there isn't a physical representation of it yet. So we're gonna do it right now. You're gonna uh, be with me, building, developing, researching, um, doing like the whole life cycle or the whole process of building Mina, right? By the way, uh, this is an open source project, right? So you can follow this project on Git or GitHub. I plan to host this on Git, and let me write this. Okay, so this is an open source project, right? Now I'm going to define like the whole documentation, and the full code or whatever or everything related to Mina is going to be defined and documented in this repository, right? I have already created that repository, but I'm gonna still going to be adding stuff here, including the code because it's open source, documentation, etc., etc. And yeah, now I've explained a little bit about the idea of Mina. It might not sound as clear as it could, but that's why I'm recording like the full process, because I want to record like my thought process, like what I'm thinking, how I'm implementing stuff, how I'm coming up with ideas, and yeah, that's like the idea. So the idea is so you guys like audience can like have like a peek into my mind and see how I think or how I process stuff. And yeah, like it's not like a full development, like only development stream, because we're not only going to be developing, we will be researching lots of stuff because I'm sure there are a lot of stuff I don't know how to do, and we're going to be doing research and development. So yeah, now let me check. Give me a sec. Let me check this stream because I've never streamed. I'm going to be completely sincere. So let me check how does this work. Okay. Um. Yeah. Interesting. I can see like okay. Okay, that's it. Um. Okay. Okay. So let's start. Okay. So first of all, I've already explained what the idea of Mina is, what we're gonna be doing. I haven't said what does. I haven't explained what is Mina, the letters. What do the letters mean? Mina means my intelligent neural assistant, and as it's self-explanatory, like my intelligent assistant, AI assistant, neural because neural networks and AI, so just um, added a word there so it makes more sense. So yeah, so let's go ahead and design the tool, or let's list out what are the requirements of the tool first, and then we can break that down into questions, and we can do some research, because that's something that I do. Whenever I have like a new problem space, or wherever I'm in a new project, I like to break things into questions or into problems, into the really small details, so I can then um, begin from a part and do my research and develop from there. It's like a divide and conquer approach, where I divide all my tasks or the possible tasks or the possible topics, let's say, about a project. Then I start doing some research and I can go up from there or down from there and uh, proceed with development, I guess. Now, let's break down stuff. Now, you might not be familiar with like the whole desktop environment I'm showing right now. I shouldn't get into the specifics of it, but it's like Magento. I'm a Linux user. If you didn't notice it, this is my Magento machine. Gento is like a Linux distribution. So yeah, Magento user. Um, this is Hyperland. Again, I'm just saying facts about it, but yeah, it's not really that relevant to Mina development, right? The new Jarvis like assistant. So let's first describe what we need or what are the pre-requirements. Well, first of all, this is not like an idea I just came up with. This is an idea that I had for a while, right? And I actually started doing some little research about this project, but I never continued till now. So what I do usually is that when I have like a crazy idea or want to validate if the idea exists, is that I do some prompt engineering, let's say, or I ask LLMs like DeepSeek or ChatGPT or whatever to get an idea of like a problem space, because more. No, I don't use it to as a development tool, but more as a research tool to get to know like the problem space, to get to know what I need to do, what I need to know, and that's it. So as I stated, I already had this chat with DeepSeek. I'm using this LLM. Most of you, well, I hope most of you guys know about DeepSeek. Just another LLM, uh, pretty useful, right? So, okay, so I don't want to show you this because then you're not going to understand like the idea of Mina. So to give you more context, let's start by listing what I want the project to do, or what the idea or what the goals of the project are. So okay, so I think the best way to list like a project, or to describe a project, or to, let's say, to select, or to um, yeah, to select the ideas for the project, is to list out like all the desired features. So let me go ahead and list out all the features I would like in Mina, and then from there we can select a couple features or break down the features into like the more technical version of them, and uh, proceed with research and development, I guess. So this is my home directory. Let me um, let me create let me create let me create I guess I think I already have a okay I already have this repository cloning to my local Git machine. So let me list out what I want from this. Again, I think I should have mentioned this earlier, but I'm a big fan of using the terminal and text files and regular files. So that's what I'm using right now. I'm not using Jira tickets or any platform to track things. Although I probably should in the future, or I probably could. But I think working with text files is more, it's easier. You know, you can grab an awk and set and use all these CLI Linux commands to manipulate text, plain text. So I'm a big fan of text documents. So let me cd into docs, okay, and let me start a new document. I'm going to be writing in Markdown because it's easier for me. And let's start with features. Markdown to list out what we want from Mina, right? So we want it to be a Jarvis-like assistant, right? We want it to be, well, I want it to be this assistant that you can ask things about, or you ask things and it can answer. Now, starting with that single statement, ask things about. So you need to translate human language into into binary data, or to data that an LLM can understand, right? Now, that would mean, or that we need to a feature could be, let's say, text to speech, or yes, we say text to speech and speech to text between humans, and LLM and AI, let's say, because you want to have, the idea is to have like a conversation, or be able to have like a conversation with this Mina, the AI underlying Mina, because that's like the way Jarvis works, or the way the Iron Man movies make Jarvis look like an AI assistant that you can chat with. So you need a conversation between humans and AI. So let me erase this TTS and STT feature, because I think that's more technical, and let's just keep it like raw features, raw human, like raw features in human language. Let's then get into the technical details in the future, but not now. So let's say conversations between humans and artificial intelligence or AIs, right? So the feature, a desired feature is that users chat or are able to chat with an AI, right? So what else can you do with Mina? What can you do? Or um, with this Jarvis assistant? You would usually, or I've seen in the movies, that the Iron Man or this guy Tony Stark can command things to the AI, right? I mean that's the thing, right? I believe that this Iron Man guy can tell this Jarvis assistant like, hey, open the door, or hey, open my computer, or hey, show me whatever website.com, or show me, or open email, or send a message. So there should not only be like the possibility to have conversations with AI, but also uh, make possible the AI to what? To make possible to command things to the AI. No, make possible, make, how would you describe that feature? They would be like have conversations between humans and AI, between human, okay, between user and AI. I guess another, let's say, a way to put it would be like uh, integrate the AI with external systems. For example, let's say integrate AI with external systems. Now, let me just add like a short description so it's like easier to understand. Like the user can command user can command instructions to the AI. Let's keep it there. Like user can command instructions to the AI. So the user can have conversation with the AI. The user can command instructions to the AI. Now, what kind of instructions will it command? It will command instructions to do stuff. Now, what kind of stuff? Uh, okay, so first thing I can think of is manipulate hardware stuff. Like, so the user can command instructions to the AI. For example, um, hardware, then other software, I guess, because as I if I remember correctly, the Iron Man, yes, the Iron Man can command Jarvis to open stuff or manipulate other software. So hardware and software. Uh, I guess if I would want the AI to open my browser, so it would need to be able to interact with my underlying operating system. So I guess let's just list out operating system here, my OS, and applications. So, okay, we have some requirements, right? Okay, so listening here, the user can have conversations between the AI, with the AI, I mean, the user can command instructions. And yeah, that's like the basic stuff, right? You can have a conversation and you can command instructions. So I can talk with AI and then I can ask it to open Spotify, let's say, or skip the current track that Spotify is playing, or whatever. Yes, that's like the idea, I guess. Okay, what else can it can it do? Okay, okay, I think that's okay for a good start, like for basic features. Um, I can already think about specific features. Or let's, okay, no, I just thought about something. What about conversations? Okay, okay. What about the conversations between the users and the AI? Like, what is the user going to chat about? What's the AI going to know that the user wants to ask about? For example, maybe the user wants to know about his email, right? So the user, so we're talking about a RAG system right now. Although I'm getting into technical details, but let's leave it from let's leave that for later. Okay, so what can the user chat about with AI? It can chat about um, the user specific data, let's say user specific data. Now, this means that the user can ask about or chat about with the AI about his email, his, I don't know, let's say his Instagram feed, his applications, let's say application data, applications and files, I guess, right? Because let's say the user the user wants to know about a file that he has in his computer files in his computer's file system. It would be a good idea that the user asks about that. I mean, that the user is able to ask about that. So user specific data, application data. Okay, so now we're talking that the system MINA should integrate with other third-party services, right? For example, what if the user wants to know about his email? So the AI should integrate with application data from let's say Gmail or whatever email is configured in the system. So let's say application data and file data. Okay, so that's the thing, right? Then what else can the user chat about? Well, not only about user specific data, but about, I mean, it's an LLM. It should be intelligent enough to know information about existing stuff. So uh, knowledge or internet data and pre-trained data. Let's say let's call it like the same thing, like pre-trained data and internet data. Well, no, that's not usually the same thing because you can pre-train another model to know specific things about things that are not on the internet. But what about if I want to know? What about if the LLM wants to know about new stuff and not only stuff that it was pre-trained with? For example, what if the LLM doesn't want to only know about, I don't know, a Wikipedia article that was written 10 months ago? What if he wants to know about recent news? Then the LLM should be able to extract data from the internet, right? Okay, so that's two different things. Okay, so you have uh, you have three things. You have user-specific data, pre-trained data, and internet data. Okay, so that means that I need to pre-train an LLM model or use a pre-trained LLM model uh, in the first as a requirement, I guess. Then user-specific data. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself again and thinking about the technical requirements. Let me just list out all these features. Okay, so I want to be able to have a conversation with AI. I want to have a conversation about what? About user-specific data, data about my applications, and data about my files in my current like my file system. I also would like to have conversation about pre-trained data. So if I want to ask about, I don't know, whatever topic, some math topic or some physics topic, I want to be able to ask about that and have a conversation with the LLM. Okay, now internet data again. Why? Because I don't want to have to retrain a model just to get new data. That would be doesn't make sense, right? So I would need to have a way, or I would need to create a way so that an LLM could get more data dynamically if it doesn't find a response in its existing like data records, whatever. So that's a thing. Then user can comment instructions to the AI. Okay, I guess I think we can leave like the first feature, which I'm gonna number because this indenting is getting confusing. The first feature, Okay, okay, there. Then I'm gonna. Oof. Okay, then user can command instructions to AI. Hardware. What does it mean by commanding hardware stuff? Maybe now that is IoT, or I mean, yes, it could be IoT, but not necessarily. I mean, hardware is IoT somehow. So you could say yes, hardware. Um, yeah, I guess. Um, hardware, but what about hardware? Am I talking like my computer hardware, like my keyboard, or am I talking like a fan in my house, or a monitor, or a screen, or my lights? So that's a thing, right? So let me list out like computer peripherals, peripherals. I know how to write this. Okay, and let's say IoT, and let's also list out house house what electronics. Let's leave. Okay, let's say just like house electronic stuff. I mean that would categorize into IoT, so just gonna skip that one. Then software again. I want to be able to command instructions to AI, um, so that I can manipulate or I can modify software stuff. Now that would be my operating system and my applications, because that's basically software. Like the two main categories of software are operating system and applications, I guess. My operating system. Now there are several operating systems. I guess I would need to integrate. Uh, I would like to make it cross-platform, so not only Linux or Windows, or although I'm developing in Linux, I guess you would like to get some Mac users and some Windows users this open source product or open source software. So let's say let's list out here like cross-platform support, platform support, like Linux, Win, Win 11. I guess Windows. I don't know which version of Windows. I'm not a big Windows user, but again, let's just list out these operating systems so we can take into account in the future. And what else? Okay, so if I want the system or the AI to manipulate my operating system, what parts of my operating system do I want it to manipulate or be able to modify? Uh, well, let's say I want to delete a file. Hey, assistant, delete a file. Then it would need to have access to the file system. Okay, that's the thing. But if I wanted to open an application, okay, then I would need it to have access to, or I would need to be able to make syscalls, like system calls, like allocating resources. Like we would need to be able to allocate, well, not directly allocating resources because that's the kernel's job, but you would you would need to make some system calls. And okay, I'm just thinking out loud. So if I say something that doesn't make much sense, that's my mind having lots of thoughts at the same time. Okay, so software, it would need to interact with close platform, to interact with my file system, then to make some syscalls. Let's say syscalls. Let me. Syscalls is a very broad term, I guess. So I wouldn't say like directly syscalls. I'd probably say like um. Give me a sec, guys. I shouldn't. I just received a notification. So I'm just checking if it's important. If it's not, then it's not. But um, just give me a sec. Okay. Okay. Forget about it, guys. Okay, again. Now, as I was saying, um, system calls is a very broad uh, spectrum, let's say. So let's just go ahead and call it like open applications. Yes, because what if I want the system or the whatever AI to open Spotify? Then it would need to be able to allocate resources and open Spotify. Okay, I guess. Okay, yes. Okay, open applications. What else? What else would be? Let's say, what about configuring? What are we configuring my operating system? It would need to be able to. Well, no, it would be able. It would need to be able to manipulate files in Linux because it's Linux is almost file-based, mostly file-based configuration. Okay, but in Windows we need to call Windows that Windows API to manipulate or make some settings. So yeah, I guess open applications, then configure OS level settings. Let's say. What about what else? What about volume control and media control? What if I want to increase or decrease my volume? What if I want to change like the default output? So let's say just audio and media control, audio and media control, and this would enclose, let's say, what would it enclose? Would enclose like volume control, like what else? What else? Like I guess you would say like volume control. Then you would like to. I just said like changing like the output input devices, output input devices. I guess output and input devices. What type of devices? Like every type of device. Because I'm talking media devices, for example, microphone. Yeah, let's just leave it there. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, let's just leave it there. Like output and input devices. You would also need to. You would also want. What would you want? I mean, you would. Okay, regarding audio and media control, you would like to change your volume. What about? Okay, what about this, for example? Right now, I have a configuration my gen system that if I press Windows, the Windows key, and P, I can pause or play my my current what like my current media player. So I guess media player control, like play, pause. Let's say play, pause, skip. Then you can also forward or backward. Yeah, that's okay. Now, there's a lot of things that you would like to have in this like audio media control like sub feature. Let's say play, pause, skip, forward, backward, and I guess I skipped like the stop because pause and stop are different most of the time. So yes, I guess you want to control your audio and media. Okay, so that's something. What else would you like in what else would you like in what else would you like these CSS to have? I mean, what about showing stuff? I mean, open applications. I guess open applications and Windows could enclose like the same thing. What about showing? What about okay? What about knowing things about my computer? Like I guess I guess it would. I guess, for example, what if I want to ask the system like, how much battery do I have if I'm in a laptop, or how much RAM do I have? So let's say how no. I think I'm getting ahead of myself, so I'm gonna leave it right there. The operating system things. Now, what about applications? Like, what do I want? What type of applications or what interactions do I want this assistant to have with other applications, like third-party applications? Applications, like what does that mean? Like, what are third-party applications? Like Spotify is a third-party application because it's not native to my computer. For example, what about if I want to control things about, like example, like a social media account? Like for example, social media account, social media accounts, third-party applications. Let's say let's say applications and accounts. Okay, okay. For example, let's say I want the assistant to change my or to post a tweet. Well, it's not called a tweet because it's not longer Twitter, but let's say to post an X post tweet. Um, yeah, we need to have third-party access. We need to have like read and write. Okay, like read and write access to apps. Okay, okay. Wait, let me leave it right there and let me go into like more technical assessment, or let me figure out how can I describe this in technical tasks, or how can I break this down into technical stuff. By the way, I think I was hearing some music and I am not hearing it anymore. Let me unpause it because I think I just paused my this thing. That way I'm hearing jazz music. There's no copyright and I don't know, there's no copyright and that's all. Okay, okay. So okay, and third-party applications. Okay, now let me break this down into technical tasks, let's say, or into technical features, because this is like a very broad description of the problem space. So let me create another file. Let me call this file. Let me rename this file from features into, let's say, non-technical features or high-level features. Let's call them high-level features. High-level features. And let me create another file here, and what should I call it? Just let me call it like technical features, or what's the opposite of high level? Is low level. No, let me just call it high level. The technical features. Markdown. This is again a markdown file. And again, okay, so I have two main features, which are have a conversation with AI, and then uh, command instructions to the AI. So let me break this down, or let me classify these two, or let me just divide them. Okay, let me just divide this technical breakdown into these two main features, starting with the conversation between user and AI. Okay, that would require. What would that require again? What are the nine technologies behind having a conversation with an AI? Okay, so having a conversation with an AI, that means that you need, let me call this AI chat feature. I might rename this in the future. This is just like a temporary name. What would require having a conversation. Let's break this down. Let's do it pretty simple and break this down from the human language statement that I just said. Like have a conversation between user and AI. Have a conversation, words. Words can be in voice, can be chat. Okay, so AI, AI conversations. Let's say let's rename this to okay. Let's rename. Okay, AI conversation feature needs. I need to talk to the AI. So that means I need some kind of I need to talk to the AI, so I need to have like my text be translated into data that the AI can understand, right? So that means that I need text, speech to text, some kind of speech to text technology. Okay, so let me break this down into questions, right? Because as I said in the start of the stream, what I like to do is I like to break down things or issues or problems, whatever you have, into questions. And once you break down the things into the smallest or the most precise or the most specific question you can come up with, then you can do like the problem solving and let's say assessment or technical assessment or of what technologies can solve the specific problem. So let's list out on the right again on the right panel like the problems, like the problem itself, or like the problems of having a conversation with AI. Okay, so okay, having a conversation with AI. What does it mean? That means that I'm going to talk with AI. Okay, so let me just write down like a brief description here. Having a conversation with AI. What does that mean? That means that I'm gonna talk to the AI. How am I going to talk to the AI? I'm just gonna let's say like, hey AI. Okay, see what I just said? I just hey AI. So I just said I'm gonna activate the AI some way, or I'm gonna tell okay, what do you do when you talk to someone? You want to grab their attention first, right? So that's the thing, right? So when you wanna grab their attention, you call them. Okay, so I think there's like something called wake. I read something about like a wake word. I don't remember what was its name. Its name it. I can't remember the thing I'm trying to. It's not a language feature, by the way. It's like a memory. It's not a language issue. It's a memory issue right now that I'm having. So I don't remember what's like the name of the thing that I'm looking for, or the thing I'm looking for actually. Okay, again, let me just start over and break this down again. I want to have a conversation with an AI. How would I do that? That's the second question. How would I do it? I would first call out the AI, then ask my question. This means I need to. Oh, oh. I have some. I might be a little sleepy. Okay, again. So, that means. What does that mean? That means that I want to call out the AI, and then I want to ask my question. Okay, so I'm gonna call out the AI. So I need to wake up. Let's say like wake up my AI to call the attention. Okay, so let me just write this down. Do I need to write this down? I've never written this down. Like this process that I'm doing right now, like this question-driven development stuff that I'm doing right now, I never write something down. But I guess that because of the fact that I'm talking to someone or like explaining my thought process, it would be a good idea to have a more visual like example or what I'm thinking or how I'm thinking. But again, if I do that, that would affect like my thinking process because it wouldn't be like a straightforward, natural thinking. So I'm just gonna talk out loud. I think I'm gonna talk out loud so as you guys can hear my thought process because although it would be great if you could visualize my thought process, I would it would affect the way I think or the timings of my thinking, I guess. So yes, as I was saying, I want to wake up the AI. So I want to a conversation feature needs to wake up AI. Now, what does this mean? This means to activate the AI so the AI can understand or start understanding or trying to understand whatever I'm going to ask about or prompt. For example, but I think this is like a clear example of this is, for example, the Google Assistant. You say, "Hey Google," and then the Google Assistant activates and starts listening to whatever you ask. Okay, so or with Siri, "Hey Siri," and then Siri starts hearing about your request. Or with the example Jarvis from these Iron Man movies, "Hey Jarvis," and then Jarvis um, starts hearing about or starts hearing or starts whatever starts reading instructions, right? So I guess that's something. Um, let me okay. So yes, I guess that's something. Um, okay, so yes, the wake up word, or let's say wake up, or call out wake up feature. Let's call it just wake up feature. I just explained what that means. Uh, Feature. Okay, now what can we what can we say about this? The wake up feature. The wake up feature. How do you wake up your AI? For example, with Jarvis, you say, "Hey Jarvis." So you're calling out Jarvis. You call it by its name. But why is Jarvis its name? Because it's configured to be Jarvis. But what if I do? That's the thing I really want. I really wanted about this assistant. I want it to be as personalizable as possible, or as customizable as possible. So I'm not gonna force you to call your assistant Mina, although the product or the service or the project's name is Mina. I wouldn't like to force that. You have to call Mina the assistant Mina. Wake up feature. The wake up feature needs uh, personalized uh, you know this is not a thinking it well this is not a technical features description, this is more a high level, the left versus a more low level or detailed description of the features. So let me do something and just let me rename this. I don't remember how to rename something in Vim. I think it was something like this. Okay, I'm gonna guess that's it. Okay, so instead of technical features, I'm gonna call this detailed features. Detailed feature because it makes more sense. Okay, so wake up feature. You want a personalized name for your AI. Yes, and then you would also would it make sense to have like a would it make sense to have like a personalized wake up sentence, like instead of "Hey Mina" or "Hey Jarvis" or "Hey Google" or "Hey Siri," you can configure like that. Oh my god. I think I will fall asleep pretty soon. I think it would make sense to like would it make sense when to what point we want Mina to be that customizable? Let's just leave it a personal name for the AI for for the AI. Okay, so you have the wake up word or the wake up sentence, whatever, the wake up action, and you then the AI starts understanding whatever you're telling it. But the I mean, that means that I would need to translate. Okay, okay, so okay, just the first section. The first section has lots of features. I mean, okay, okay. Let's say the the flow is the following. Or let me just interpret the flow. Like, hey Mina, open Gmail. Okay, that means okay. So now, hey Mina, I'm doing like the wake up feature when I waking up the AI, and then I'm giving it instructions. Now I'm giving instructions in natural language. I'm not using a menu. Like I'm not using like a menu. I'm using words, and I'm not using text words. I'm using voice words. I'm using non-textual data and non-binary data also. It's okay. I'm using what am I using? Wavelengths, I guess you could say. I'm using sound wavelengths. So that's it. So I need to capture all these these voice commands with natural language, and I need to feed them into an AI. So okay, so I need to capture. Let's call this uh, text to speech, speech text feature. Okay, let me get rid of these characters here. Feature. Command. Okay, text to speech, speech to text. Just let me write it down because people might not know what STT means or might not be enough familiar enough. Speech to text. Now, again, I guess I should have probably said this earlier, but there there is some knowledge that I'm going to assume that the viewers know, because I can't stop on everything and explain every single detail on technology or whatever specific technology or whatever specific language or whatever specific um, X thing means. So I'm just gonna assume that you guys know this stream is it's made towards more technical people. Maybe I'm not targeting like the average. I don't know the average person that doesn't know much about technology. Again, because I'm streaming all this process of like my thought process and so all this development. So the idea is that, so I'm going to assume that you guys know something that is with AI and development and software engineering and software development and testing and AI and Gen AI and whatever buzzword I can find. And so speech to text. So I guess I would need some speech to text feature because I need to translate this text into embeddings. I guess that's what AIs use. Okay, so I would need to translate all this data into embeddings. So what would that imply? I would need to translate text. I would need to translate voice input to text. What type of voice input am I translating? I'm translating voice input from my microphone potentially, or from the configured input in the host computer. What does the input have? It has yes, a voice commanding something, a voice which is language, human language, which isn't necessarily English. So it would be great to have multi-language support, although I'm not gonna implement first because by the way, as a first draft. So let's just say text to speech. Let's just multilingual support or multiple language multi language support. Okay, so okay, let's say okay, the flow is the following. Hey, assistant. Then I command my instruction, and the STT feature or the STT module or whatever I have is going to translate from speech to text. Now this text, I'm going to pass this text. Okay, so the flow is the following. I'm gonna draw this because I think I need to some visual and some visual like I just need some visual stuff, some visual. I need to view stuff. I'm a very visual person, so let me go ahead and open GIMP, which is like this program to draw. If you're familiar with Windows environments, you might be familiar with Paint. This is somewhat similar to Paint. So the idea is of the following, right? So okay, let me choose like the drawing. Isn't there like a drawing? Okay, so step one is that the user is gonna activate the AI, for which I'm gonna be using okay, the wake up command, I guess. Yes. Okay, so the wake up. So first, okay, so this is what is this? I'm drawing like a flow of how the user flow, how the user would use Mina. I guess it would first wake up the AI, wake up AI. Then it would need to, what it would need to do? It would need to you first wake up the AI, then you need to translate the text. You need to do some speech to text translations, let's say, or perform parsing. Let's just call it parsing. You need to do some STT parsing. Okay. Then you need to feed that text or that command or that prompt or whatever into the LLM. So LM. Okay, so let me add this here because it makes sense, I guess. Let me add this. Let's say a step. I'm gonna number this. I think I should number this. Like for example. Okay, I'm gonna number this the same way I numbered this on the graph the drawing I'm making. Okay, so the idea is the following. Okay, so the user flow is the following. You wake up the AI, you do the translations, meaning the speech to text, parse or whatever. Then you feed the question or the prompt to the LM. Then the LM produces responses, not necessarily. Then the LM takes some action, right? It could either produce responses. Okay, then what does the LM output? It outputs either. Okay, let me draw this with another color. Let me draw this with red. Produces. Okay. What does the LM produce? Either takes an action. Okay, the LM. What does the LM receive? It receives either a prompt or a command. Okay, so let me draw this. Let me draw this differently. Okay, let me. Okay, so let me view this differently. Okay, so let's say this is the user. The user is going to use natural language to input into some speech text system. Okay, then this I'm gonna draw with red like input because just to distinguish it from the other drawings. So you should here get some voice. I'm gonna draw voice as like this icon. It doesn't really make much sense. I'm not a good drawer, at least in computers. Okay, let's just agree that this is like audio. Now the user is gonna input audio into speech to text. The speech to text is going to, like this feature, is going to input this text into the LLM. Why an LLM or a large language model? Yes, I mean, it makes sense, yes. You then input text or raw data or no, what does it input? It will input text, right? I mean, yes, let's represent text as like this text file icon because it makes sense. Now, what will the LLM do? Now, just remember that the LLM or the features in the LLM, the features of MINA are two main features. First, having a conversation, and second, combine the structures. Now, let's say, okay, now the LLM. Okay, let me specify this better because. Okay, no. Okay, let's just say like, do we need to feed? Okay, so there are two main actions or two main courses to take when a user asks or communicates something to the assistant. It either prompts something or it either commands something. When it prompts something, the LLM should produce a response. Text response. Well, not text response, but let's say that it produces text response and then you can text to speech that output. So yeah, let's say that there are two main courses, right? Okay, you can either produce a command. No, or can you? You know, this drawing, I think I drew this like too far on that right. But again, doesn't matter. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Okay, so the text-to-speech translation could output one of two things. Could output why am I okay, I have it. This text-to-speech could output two things. Or could produce or could, let's say, produce two things. Either a prompt, which I'm gonna rewrite again because it can detect the prompt or a command. What's the difference? That let's say that if it detects a prompt or if it gets a prompt, it's gonna try to get a response from the LLM. If it gets a command, it's gonna try to take an action with a command. But what if, again, okay, so maybe I'm trying to jump into the technical details right now. Again, I think, okay, let's just ignore what type of input is being fed from the speech text, let's say pipe. Let's call this like a pipeline, like a process flow pipeline, right? So you get SCT, okay, then let's just call it LLM. LLM, whatever it is, it's just LLM. Okay, I'm gonna whether it's data or it's a prompt for a command. Let's just call this process LLM. Okay, then what is it gonna get? Okay, I'm gonna get a response from the LLM. Right, whether it takes an action or not, it's gonna get a response. The user, yes, because you need. I mean, every conversation needs some kind of feedback thing. So, okay, you get your speech to text into your LLM, then you get your response. Regardless of if the user or if the prompt triggers like a command. So let's just draw a box here that input. This is like an input process, and this is like an output process. And speech text to speech. I don't know. I guess I'm not the best drawer. At least using a mouse here. Okay, but I think that's understandable, right? Okay, so as an input, user gets no, the system, let's say, or the MINA, the project gets voice. It's translated or parsed or whatever using STT or this technique, whatever speech to text. You get fed. This gets fed into the LLM, which, by the way, I don't like calling it the LLM. I would just call it AI, because LLM is very specific. Let's say it's kind of a little specific. Where is the eraser here? I have no idea how to erase content. Oh my gosh. I have no idea how to use GIMP. I've never used GIMP. What would I even use GIMP? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what just happened? I think GIMP just broke. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's why people don't use GIMP probably. That's probably why people don't use GIMP at all. Let me just navigate my file system and save this and reopen it, because just to check it works. So I just close GIMP. Let me open again GIMP. Control O to open. I think I can again. I don't want to leak anything, so let me open. I saved this. Where did I save this? I think I saved this here. And projects and MINA right here. Okay, so as I was trying to allude earlier, I don't like to call this LLM because LLM is a very specific, like a very specific concept, and things that the AI is gonna do. It's not necessarily only like this type of stuff. LLM stuff. I mean, you could have probably NLP or NLU processing to. I mean, I have lots of thoughts on how can I detect like commands from prompts. But first of all, I really want to be able to delete this. I don't know how to delete this. I might I might not be able to delete this. I am able to delete this. I just don't know. I've never used this. Okay, you know what? Let me just let me just let me just write AI here all over the top. How does something as simple as erasing a word is made so impossible by this software? I don't like GIMP. I thought it was a I thought it was like a good idea to use GIMP instead of other software because open source and whatever. But thinking I'm thinking there's a reason why people pay for other image editing software. I guess. Anyway, this is working around for now. It works for me. So let me just rename this with color black because I guess it's cool. So I'm gonna leave this like AI here. Again, this is really weird. This is really weird. I've never used this. Okay, I might be wasting some time in the stream. But again, my fault. Who knows? Again, okay, never mind. I'm gonna forget about that. Just gonna call it. I'm just gonna. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna draw an arrow here. It's impossible to erase something using GIMP. Again, okay, so jumping back to where it was earlier. Okay, what is this? Words like the process. Okay, so the user gets input or the system gets input. It translates this human natural language inputs using something like an STT technology, so speech to text technology. Then we feed that to the AI. The AI produces some output text response, and we text to speech translate the output. Pretty simple, right? That's like a simple conversation flow. It's pretty easy to understand. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this as it is. I'm gonna export it into another format. Okay, so that's a thing, right? So that's pretty simple, right? A pretty simple flow. But okay, now it's when it gets like difficult. So let me create another one of these. Let me create another one of these documents because I find them pretty useful. And let me just, how can I make this like bigger? Is there any kind of documentation for GIMP? I'm not gonna read it right now, but it would be a good idea to read about GIMP's, like weird image managing or image manipulating system. It's really unintuitive. I've heard about this in the past. I mean, about GIMP being unintuitive, but but I didn't thought it was that this serious. Um, I've always heard that GIMP was like people didn't use GIMP because of its unintuitiveness, but I guess they were right. It's kind of unintuitive. Okay, so and let me just close this. Let me open another GIMP. I guess I open LibreOffice, which I was not uh, trying to do. So let me just create a new project, okay, or a new this. Again, I'm gonna color this black and I'm gonna paint this black background. Now I can draw stuff. Okay, perfect. If I can paint stuff or draw, I'm okay with it. I'm okay and it satisfies my necessities. Again, okay, so where did we left? Can I open like multiple? Oh yes, I can open multiple like GIMP files at the same time. Interesting. Okay, because this is not only a research and development of Mina, but I guess we're also doing lots of stuff. Again, this is like my full my full workflow. So I'm streaming my full workflow, even with like non-traditional content, I guess, because this is not traditional content. But what would someone stream this, right? But again, um, as it was, uh, okay, so I just opened this other file. Now let me do a more a more like a more detailed breakdown of like the AI here, because what does AI mean? Okay, let's just say this AI starts here, or let's just say you receive input from here, input and produce output, and this is AI, right? Produce output and you receive input, and then you are this have the whole AI very here. So what does the AI like like enclose? What is the AI gonna do? Okay, so first, this means that there's like an AI component to the to it. So there's an AI component. Now, what type of AI component am I talking about? Okay, so I need to produce responses. I need to produce L. I need to produce responses from unknown inputs. So that means What does that mean? That means that I need an LLM, and Gen AI. I need generative AI, because that's what Gen AI is best at. I mean, getting responses from unknown inputs. That's AI. That's Gen AI. That's why I need AI, Gen AI, an LLM model. So there's an LLM model component here. Okay, but there's also what I would call, let's say, like an intent classification system, or actually this concept I have already thought about this, so it's nothing new for me at least, but for you guys might be. What is this concept? So an intent classification system. What I mean by this is that you need to distinguish. Okay, again, input can be either. Uh, input can be either, as they say here, it can be either. Well, I'm just getting here text, but in theory, input can either be a prompt or a command. So let's say I'm here. Let's say prompt versus commands or intent classification. Let's call this intent classification. Intent classification. Classification. Okay, so you can either process a request by being a prompt or a command, which I'm going to color in red because it makes more sense, right? So you can either get a prompt or a command. Now, what I mean by intent classification and all of this is that okay, so you can either you can get either of you can get one of these either of these let's say like options or type of requests, or the Mina can get this type of request. You can either get a prompt or a command. Now let me define this. Let me define a prompt as a user request of only reading or write only 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 getting data. Actually, a prompt is only to read data, like a get request. If we're talking about HTTP, I don't know why I mapped HTTP verbs to this, but again, um, you can either get a prompt or an action, a prompt or a command, right? So you can get a prompt or a command, and by intent classification, I mean determining or classifying whether the user is asking for something or if it's commanding for something, right? So you need this intent classification like layer on the flow. So let's just call it intent classification. Classification. Okay, so uh, you can get either an you can get either prompt or commands, right? If you're gonna get a prompt, then you're gonna want to fit this prompt to what? If it's a prompt, then you only want to get text response, right? So so I guess you can fit it directly into an LLM, right? So let's just draw this like here bottom, like this LLM bottom, LLM bottom. So if you get a prompt, if you get classified, if you get a prompt instead of a command, then you can simply input this input this text or this prompt into an LLM, then get a response from the LLM and output to the text to speech module, let's say, or speech. Yes, text to speech because to produce output you have text, then you want to produce some kind of artificial speech. So text to speech, it speech. How do I write speech? Oh my gosh, speech. Okay, my bad, I guess. Let me change all the occurrences of speech to speech. Okay, so that's something then. Okay, now again, if you want to do some intent classification, you get your prompt, you can feed your prompt to the LLM, then you can get responses, but you're gonna get responses based on what? You're gonna get responses based on user specific data. If you're gonna get you responses on user specific data, this data is publicly available and it's dynamic data that wasn't pre-trained, that wasn't used to pre-train the model. So you're gonna need some kind of retrieval augmented generation system, a RAG system for short, and so you can feed this data dynamically to the LLM, right? So let me let me use drag here. You want to you want to feed a rack system, or you want to ingest into the rack system data, right? You want to for user specific data. You would also okay for user data for dynamic user data. Okay. Okay, no. So you would like to okay. So in the rack system, you would want to feed your specific data from application data and file state data. And by file state data, I mean file system data. And you would like for some feature data, you don't need rack for feature data because the LM is already trained with that data. But what if I want inter data? Would I make it so the AI dynamically collects data, or would I want to pre-ingest this data into the rack system to then feed it to the AI? Okay, I think that's a question for when I'm building the rack system. So for the retrieval augmented generation, I'm gonna write this down just so you guys, if in case any of you guys don't know um, this, you can make very cool. Okay, sorry, I'm talking and I'm writing at the same time. So as I was saying, rack system, you can have like this rack system, so this visual augmented generation system. So I just wrote that down so you guys, if any of you guys don't know like what is that or how does it relate to LLMs and AI and whatever AI stuff I'm talking about, you can make a quick Bing or a quick Google or a quick DuckDuckGo search, or even ask your fellow ChatGPT and get an easy to understand explanation of RAG, which is actually a pretty interesting system and a pretty useful system specifically for these type of applications because RAG provides a RAG system provides a way to feed your LLM with private data or protected data or non-publicly available data dynamically, so I can feed into my RAG system whatever I want, whatever type of data I want, and the LLM will know about it. So that's it. So in this case, I would build a RAG system for the LLM so it can use user specific data such as application data. For example, my data from my application, like my Gmail, my whatever, my Gmail, my Outlook, my Microsoft account, my Google account, etc. I could also use it to organize my file system and read data from my file system. For example, I have a document that explains some specific data about some specific stuff that I'm working on, and that's not available on the internet because it's private, it's not public. Then the RAG system can feed, or well, I can ingest all like the data on my file system and ingest it into I can ingest all this data into my RAG system, and the LLM can have it available to produce output. Okay, I could also dynamically feed into the RAG system data from the internet if I want to use like some web scraping or some kind of technique to obtain data from some websites. Although that would like web crawler, but it would be I don't know how to make a web crawler. I've never done a web crawler. I know there are useful Python libraries for making web crawlers. I don't know if I need a web crawler at all. Do I need to have a web crawler like to recollect data? Probably. At least that's what I think I need. I would need to have to do some research on that. But yeah, I need to build a prompt. Okay, again, I think I lost myself again with words. So the AI, let's say, layer or the AI step on the pipeline explaining this, let's say, drawing, get input, you get it to the end, then you get output. Okay, like situation you have input, you do some intent classification to detect if it's a command or a prompt. Then if it's a prompt, you feed it to LLM. The LLM can use uh, RAG, a RAG system, and then produce an output, which I'm going to that sounds simple, really. You get an AI, okay, you get to the AI, you get input, you classify the intention. If it's a prompt, you get you feed the LM. The LM uses the RAG system and produce output, and the final result gets output, and the output comes here, and it's translated to speech, and then the user gets some feedback. But what if it's a command? That's an interesting feature to develop. Like how should I develop? How can I detect if something is a command? Because if I could have like an NLP layer or an NLU layer where I try to understand whether something matches a command, and if it matches a command, then I would try to execute a command or execute a task or an action or whatever with like for example, if I have a string of text and I have like an NLP or NLU or whatever natural language understanding layer where I can understand like what or if a command is was intended to be executed, and I can get this I can subtract like the parameters from the text and then execute a specific action. But I would need to like first detect if something is a command, then detect what command I want to execute, then detect what parameters should I feed that command to execute, then execute the command, and that's it, right? But again, uh, but if I there's what I'm thinking right now is like an intent classification system that I developed myself. But interestingly enough, uh, I've read that recently OpenAI created this. I don't know what the name of it, but they created like this protocol for they created this they created this protocol. It's pretty cool actually. Let me open my browser here again. Let me close this. What is this? What do I have here? Okay. Okay, let me open my browser here. And yes, I was reading about this earlier actually. Model context protocol. Now, model context protocol is a protocol that defines exactly what I'm trying to achieve here. Like model context protocol is what I'm trying to achieve here. The model context protocol, as I've read, I give it like I skimmed it like really quickly, and as I've read, uh, you give it like enough context to AI, and you give it something called a tool, which would translate to the thing I just called action, and it's really cool, right? I don't even know how to explain it. Let's read it. How about we read it, right? Because it defines clients and servers and how to execute like okay, this thing that I've just explained, the task of detecting or classifying when a user is like asking for a prompt or trying to trigger an action, that like complicated system that I've just described is what this MCP protocol, this model context protocol, is trying to achieve. But
I already streamed for an hour and a half. It's kind of late here, and I want to give it this a read um, more in the future. Uh, because as of now, I'm still defining like requirements and technical features that I would like for this project. So let's leave it until here for now. But uh, in the future, I don't know, possibly next day, tomorrow, we'll continue with the development of Mina and with the design or an architecture of Mina first, so we can, or I can, or we can, yes, define how will Mina look like, or what technologies do we need. If I think we shouldn't, I think I shouldn't get into the technical details here, but I am getting into the technical detail here, although I shouldn't. I should probably focus more on features, which I will do on the next stream. Then after we define features, we will grab one of the features and well, we will select one of the features, probably the most important one, and start from there, divide and conquer, and do some research along with development because I'm sure there are lots of things that I'm taking from granted that I don't know about. So yeah, let me end the stream um, right now. Thanks for watching. This was like the first version of the stream. I hope I could explain myself well. Uh, I promise that I will be getting better with, I don't know, like talking to someone to camera. This is kind of weird right now, but yeah. Bye bye.